I will keep men out of women's sports. I will sign a law banning child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. Won't happen anymore.
Ah, yes, all 50 states. It's the Women's Sports for Women. Make women women again. And if you don't know what a woman is, should you be on the Supreme Court? Honestly. We should go back and ask her again. Have you found out what a woman is? Are you a biologist now? You are one. You should be able to tell us what one is. Also yesterday, Kamala with Liz Cheney. Wow, what a weird business this politics thing is. Strange place. Wonder why no normal people want these jobs. Pretty amazing stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I want to get to President Trump making mention of it. We're going to make women's sports for women again, which the Democrats are against. They want men competing against women in sports so they can steal all their trophies and stuff. And Joe Biden wants to jail his political enemies, but only politically, whatever that means, because he's a maroon and he doesn't know what he's saying 90% of the time, and that might be generous. But since we mention it, and since we used that soundbite from President Trump there a moment ago, I want to share with you a study under our LGBTQIAA stories list for the day. And the headline from the Daily Mail out of the United Kingdom, and the Washington Post does not have the story because they don't report the news, they don't cover the news. They hide the news. It's hide the ball for the Democrats. But here is the Daily Mail out of the United Kingdom. Shocking new study reveals how many medals female athletes have lost out on to trans opponents. You know, the word trans doesn't, the transnational gangs that the Democrats have introduced to our country and our culture so that there will be more crime and more murders and more fatal drug overdoses and more child sex trafficking, of course, because the Democrats really like child sex trafficking. It's like they're like the rustlers, like the bad guys in Blazing Saddles, you know, the Democrat Party. Absolutely appalling what they're doing to the country and introducing all these Venezuelan gangs and stuff because, you know, they're the left. Let's face it. And the left brings the third world with them, and the third world means more crime, more gangs, more child sex trafficking. But you know, this is outside the DNC in Chicago a while back.
Qualifications.
Rape, murder, arson, and rape.
You said rape twice.
I like rape.
You'll do. Charming.
See, the Democrats at the border, they're controlling our border down there, and they want more gang members. They want more Venezuelan gang members. Speaking of which, we have thousands of illegal aliens in a convoy marching toward our southern border. They're in Mexico now. Mexico's not doing anything to interfere with them because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are in charge, and they're weak cowards. And the Mexican government is like, to hell with them. Screw the United States. We'll send all the gangs that we want in, Chinese by the thousands, and pay no attention to that. But I digress. Shocking new study reveals how many medals female athletes have lost out on to transgender opponents. And the also BizPac review. Female athletes lost staggering amount of medals to biological males. Study finds. You got to have a study. Everything is a study. I study everything all day long. And so I produce studies every day, and then I come here and talk about them, I think. Arguments about the rarity of men and boys stealing opportunities from women and girls crumbled as a United Nations report quantified the growing number of medals lost. How about that, the United Nations? That it only cost us like $6 billion for the United Nations to come up with this study because you know how they are. And it's all our money. Why do they use our money for this? It's just crazy, these people. But the United Nations tells us too often, BizPac review tells us, too often leftists' claims of troubling matters are being rare. They say it's rare and of little consequence, and they've proven to be neither rare nor of little consequence. Now, according to the findings of the UN Special Rapporteur, and his name is Reem Al-Salem, says that the case for gender identity and gender ideology impact on women's sports, as nearly 900 medals that would have been awarded to female athletes have actually gone to males as of March of 2024. And that means there are a lot more that haven't been counted yet. The report initially published in August, Al-Salam indicated the replacement of female sports category with mixed sex category has resulted in an increased number of female athletes losing opportunities, including medals when competing against males. According to the information received by March 30th, they say 30 March because they're euros. By 30 March of 2024, over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports. And she continued, marking the minimum number of the incidents. That's the minimum number. 890 medals in 29 different sports, 600 female athletes deprived because the Democrat Party has got gender issues, and boy, do they have gender issues. They're completely nuts, these people. And now the United Nations, of all places, is calling them on it, and that's okay because the Democrats don't care. Her findings were the focus of a panel of the United Nations New York City headquarters last week, where the Alliance Defending Freedom International and the CEO of the Alliance Defending Freedom, Kristen Wagner, Olympic swimmer Sharon Davies, and collegiate soccer player Lindsay Armistead, along with the United Nations woman herself, Al-Salem, attested to the impact of the alphabet agenda, the LGBTQIAA. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And we have Riley Gaines, the wonderful and great Riley Gaines, was on the television this morning on the Fox News Channel talking about this report coming out of the United Nations about men stealing women's medals from athletic events because they wouldn't win any if they competed in men's events. Riley Gaines.
This is huge. What we know, what has been reported thus far, there are 717 female athletes, a total of 1,055 medals that have been stolen, over 522 competitions across 37 different sports. Again, Carly, that is just the number that has been reported and accounted for. But one girl losing out on opportunities, one girl being exploited in locker rooms, one girl being injured in their sport is one girl too many.
Yes, it is. And, I think all rational people would agree with that, which means that the entirety of the Democratic Party disagrees with that because they've got really serious mommy issues and gender issues, genitalia issues, sexuality issues. The Democrat Party, they've done this to themselves, too. They've raised a generation or two generations of young people, male and female, to be gender dysphoric. They raised them on a steady diet, tube-fed, if you will. Riley Gaines just couldn't be nicer, couldn't be better. She's great. Also, the great race car driver, Danica Patrick, announcing, we played that yesterday or day before yesterday, Danica Patrick, the race car driver, the lovely race car driver. First time ever that she's going to vote in a presidential election, and she's voting for President Trump. Now, she's a woman competing in a male-dominated sport. That is the rare exception, and also it's not karate or boxing or anything, but still an entirely male-dominated sport. And that's the opposite of what the Democrats prefer. Isn't it interesting that Danica Patrick isn't the hero of the left? A woman competing in a male-dominated sport. They love males competing in female sports because that's cheating, and God knows they like nothing more than cheating. So the United Nations facing renewed calls to ban transgender athletes from women's sports after a study revealed nearly 900 medals have been lost to biological males. You know what a biological male is? A male. You don't need to say biological. We know that. That's a man, and just amazing. Honestly, it's Austin Powers time. That's a man, because you people have so many issues. You just need therapy, but you shouldn't be in charge of anything. So the UN report, which looked into violence against women and girls, its consequences and causes, found that over 600 female athletes, more than 400 competitions, have lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports. And the Democrats applaud that because they're lying, sneaking, thieving, cheating. They're Democrats. That's
God, man, what have you done? That's not your mother. It's a man, baby.
See, it's not your mother. It's a man, baby. And all right, and I got to get to Joe Biden. Joe Biden is talking about jailing Trump and killing and shooting. He's talking about shooting and killing people. The left is here, and we laugh at them now, but we laugh at our own peril, because when the real left comes to town, see Stalin, Pol Pot, the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler, Chairman Mao, the Cultural Revolution. See it all. Just amazing stuff. All right, let's take a phone call, Mike. Before we get back to Joe Biden, let's go to Dino. Dino, the Lyft driver, calling from Washington, D.C. Dino, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris Plant, what do you say? What do you know?
What do you say? What do you know? It's Dino. I know Dino. Dino and I have met.
Yes, we have. I got a lot of stuff, man, but I'm going to get you a couple of things. One is that, the old term delirium tremens, the DT, right? I got the DTs, when you quit drinking, and like the old woman told me, she's like, the walls are closing in on you. But instead of delirium tremens, you substitute the E in tremens for you, the delirium tremens, Trumpins, in other words. Like another way of saying Trump syndrome.
Trump derangement syndrome. It's an updated rendition of Trump derangement syndrome, and it's comparable to detoxing.
Right. Correct. Now let me mention this to you. I thought I was up in Pennsylvania, driving through New York not that long ago, and I think is the Mike Gallagher show.
Sure.
Yeah, Mike Gallagher show had on I guess you'd call a soliloquy. What is it?
A soliloquy.
Soliloquy from that that they had recorded from Casey Kasem, who's a Canadian from I don't know how many years ago. I got a feeling it's right after the Vietnam War, but this guy goes on and on. Maybe it's a couple minutes on how great this country is. And you got to put it on for your fans sometimes. I mean, it's unbelievable, this guy, Casey. In this speech, one of the greatest speeches on, believe it or not, how great America is, as opposed to the opposite.
Well, he must not have been a Democrat then, Casey Kasem. And
I don't.
Legendary radio personality and, disc jockey and more. A remarkable life story as well, Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
And so you heard it when you're driving up in Pennsylvania or somewhere, the Casey Kasem soliloquy to the United States of America, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And
Man,
what else? I'm running out of time on you.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more thing for you, Mr. Plant. Is what the guy that wrote Potato, he was a vice president. Remember the little girl on the drawing board says, they asked, how do you spell potato? So she put P-O-T-A-T-O.
Yeah.
And then the guy, who I don't think was Gore.
It was Dan Quayle.
Added an E to it.
Dan Quayle, George H.W. Bush's vice president.
That's who it was, Dan Quayle. But now, you spell your name with an E. Now, does that have any kind of connection with the vice president?
With Dan Quayle and Potato? I'm going to have to look into that. Why is there an E in there? There's no need for an E in there. I'm going to have to look into that. I wonder if I've got a Dan Quayle connection there. That's very
What?
interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
That's fun, Dino. Dino, thanks very much, buddy. I appreciate the call. It's good to hear your voice. Dino, Lyft driver, and my best girl. I was with my best girl when we met, right?
No, you were. I was taking it down to a car place.
A
in
car
Bethesda.
place. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I remember. That's right. Okay. Very good, Dino. Good to hear your voice. Thank you for calling in. Glad you're listening.
Saw the bigot.
And let's get out and vote. Have you voted yet, Dino?
The guy that wrote potato.
Dan Quayle, you got to get out and vote. Dino, you got to vote. You know, our friends at Eden Pure having their famous BOGO sale on the Thunderstorm air purifier. When you buy one Thunderstorm, you get one Thunderstorm for free. No matter how many Thunderstorms you buy, you get an equal number of Thunderstorms for free. I think you see how this goes. If you buy 3 Thunderstorms, you get 3 more Thunderstorms for free. The Thunderstorm will help completely eliminate any stinky odor, even the worst odors. I mean, cigarette smoke and kitty litter boxes and left-wing protesters. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm because the O3 molecules seek out and destroy the odors even behind and underneath furniture. Nothing can hide from the Thunderstorm. And now is the time to order because the Eden Pure buy one, get one free sale is just for a limited time. So don't wait around. Come on. Now's the time to go. You got holidays coming up, too. With thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet, you know the Eden Pure Thunderstorm works like a champ. People are buying several for around the home and even as gifts, some for the office. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ChrisBogo, ChrisBogo, for buy one, get one. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ChrisBogo. That's right, Dino. Yeah, Dino's my guy. Isn't that great? Great, it's great. Well, we got Joe Biden coming up. He said some, even for him, unusually crazy stuff. Joe Biden coming up. I think I know why he's not president anymore. And for Dino, we were looking up Casey Kasem there, Kamal Amin Kasem. Actually born in Detroit, Michigan, Lebanese Druze and origin. And he died in Gig Harbor, Washington in 2014. But never mind that. We got to get to a lot of stuff here, including Joe Biden being crazier than usual and saying really crazy things. And now former Democrat Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard made a big change, and it's got nothing to do with her gender, thankfully. I've got that coming up, too. Wait till you hear what she said. Now, the Democrats are bringing Russia into it again. And the Russians, it's on the front page of the Washington Post. And an anonymous intelligence official in the Biden corrupt administration sat down with multiple reporters and fed the multiple reporters anonymously, of course, a story that Russia is meddling in the election on Trump's behalf to benefit Trump because they want to get their butts kicked when Trump becomes president again. It makes no sense. Obviously, they want Kamala, the commies do, because she is really at least halfway there when it comes to being a Vlad the Impaler commie. And the commies in Russia, like Putin, they obviously want weak American leadership. So, you may remember the intelligence community tampering in our election in 2020, the Felonious 51, like Dana Bash's ex-husband and penitentiary-faced John Brennan, with their Felonious 51 letter telling us that the reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop, it was all a lie, of course, had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. And that's when the FBI was calling Facebook and Twitter and saying, don't let people share this story. It's Russian disinformation. And the only Russian disinformation is what the corrupt intelligence community in the United States, those 51 felons, perpetrated an information operation against the American people, tampering in our presidential election like we're the third world country, because the left is the third world and they're filthy corrupt. Now, the front page of the Washington Post, and the headline is slightly above the fold. First, their lead story is early voting leaps to historic start as GOP doubts fade. A foe in 2020, Trump warms to practice. Talking about early voting. No, let's have Election Day, and President Trump will tell you, let's have Election Day. But since you guys are cheating all over the place, and you got this, oh, let's vote for 90 days or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, we want people to get out and vote. That's what we want, is people to vote and to be aware of the crooked rules that the Democrat Party's put in. But I digress. Let me get back to this front page story of the Washington Post. Russia blamed for fake video smearing walls. That's their boy Tim Walz. He's a war hero from the Iraq War. Carries his rifle and a weapon of war. He's the head coach that went to the state championship. He retired as a command sergeant major. He lies about a lot of things. So Russia blamed for fake video smearing walls, naturally. And front page, Washington Post. Adversaries weigh plans to foster post-election violence. When they say adversaries, I assume they mean the Democrat Party and Black Lives Matter and other violent commie groups that burned our cities for months on end because St. George Floyd died of cardiac failure while resisting arrest and doing meth and fentanyl. But never mind that. Their boy, St. George Floyd. So here is they got David Nakamura and Joseph Menn typing the story on behalf of the Democrat Party at the Washington Post. U.S. intelligence officials, plural, on Tuesday said Russians seeking to disrupt the U.S. elections created a fake video and other materials smearing Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz with abuse allegations that are considering fomenting violence during and after the vote. Well, the Democrat Party is probably way ahead of you with that because, they're a very violent political party. And they're violent mobs that they started organizing during Occupy Wall Street and then radicalized an Antifa, a radical communist terrorist group founded in Germany in the 1930s that the Democrats have picked up the torch. They love the torch. So here's the Washington Post continued. The faked content accused Walz of inappropriate interactions with students while a teacher and coach. The posts drew millions of views on social media, falsely tarring the Minnesota governor ahead of November 5th. How do you know it's falsely tarring him? How can you? Well, the U.S. intelligence community told the Washington Post and other reporters when they sat down to speak to them anonymously and not on the record. But now it's on the front page, and it's Russia, Russia, Russia again. They're more screwed up about Russia than they are about their own genders. The officials, plural, said and isn't it, it's just amazing they're plural, but they're not named. The officials said the Russian videos, I saw a little bit of this online, postings with supposed to be a young man who was allegedly a student at the high school where Tim Walz was a teacher and a coach, not the head coach. And these postings online saying that he brought him to movies and then took him home and had sleepovers and was sexually inappropriate with him. And these things were being passed around, and we traded them back and forth, and we asked the question, well, is this just internet stupidity, or is there anything that we should take seriously here? And we couldn't find enough to support these internet claims to go with them on the air because we have high standards, even though they don't. But I saw them. I noted. I haven't seen the videos, though. We should find the videos. See what allegedly the Russians are putting up. The Washington Post says the officials, intelligence officials sitting down the Washington Post anonymously, said the Russian videos were part of the most active attempt by another country to tilt the 2024 election. Now we have the intelligence community once again seeking to tilt the 2024 election because now we're the third world country and our CIA is tampering in just another election in a third world country. This time it's the United States. They added that the Russian government agencies and contractors, which generally seek to boost Republican former President Donald Trump's campaign, are considering trying to instigate physical violence in the fraught period after voters cast their ballots. Now, how do they know it's going to be a fraught period after the election? How does the Washington Post, how does the intelligence community know that it's going to be fraught? I don't understand. Can they see the future? Do they have telepsychics? How do they do that? Some of these influence efforts are aimed at inciting violence and calling into question the validity of democracy as a political system. Right now, the Democrats are busy doing that. That's the left-wing movement inside the United States. So once again, the Biden, Kamala Harris intelligence community is coming out with this information campaign or misinformation campaign or disinformation campaign, feeding it anonymously to the Washington Post and other media in order to sow doubt and create chaos and saying, oh, if the Democrats burn our cities afterward, which they're fond of doing, then you can blame the Russians. And that, again, is another leftist, Vladimir Putin, a communist, and the leftists inside the country. And it absolutely makes no sense whatsoever that they would want to support Trump, who would kick their butts, punch them in the face, take away their gas and oil deals, would beat them in the face over Ukraine. And we'll see all but this is what our intelligence community, which has no credibility. And look, I covered the intelligence community as a journalist for 10 years, for a decade. My office was in the Pentagon. You can't have an office in the CIA headquarters, but I certainly visited the CIA headquarters many times and met with people from the CIA director in the director's office after taking the director's elevator. He's got his own elevator in the building, and it's kind of fun. And I hummed the Get Smart theme music when I was going up the elevator the first time. So here's the Washington Post, and they say, a series of background election threats, briefings that the intelligence community, senior intelligence official told reporters, plural, in the latest of a series of background election threat briefings, Russia is potentially seeking to stoke threats toward poll workers, as well as amplifying protests and potentially encouraging protests to be violent, the official said. Well, wait a minute. The Democrat Party, let's see, one Democrat shot President Trump through the ear. A second was in the hedge line with another rifle at his golf course. A third, Just Americans now, was arrested. Where was he? In Idaho, plotting to murder. And, of course, Democrat Bernie Sanders volunteer tried to mow down a baseball field full of Republican members of Congress. And another Democrat gay rights activist showed up at the Family Research Council and shot somebody there, bags full of Chick-fil-A sandwiches that he was planning on leaving on the bodies of all the people that he murdered. But a strong man punched him out and took his gun away. So now the Russians, and it's this is blame shifting extraordinaire, preemptive blame shifting. This was the first such briefing to raise the specter of violence, and the officials struck a tone of greater urgency in describing the disinformation challenges and their limited abilities to counteract them. You know, is this disinformation, though? Because I don't believe a word that I read in the Washington Post. And then we have anonymous intelligence officials telling stooges at the Washington Post and other reporters, oh, yeah, they're for Trump, and they're violent. And yet commies are violent. They're the most violent gang of murderers in the history of the world. The point of this information is power, the senior officials said. We've been trying to get as much information about these tactics, their methods, and how they're manifesting out to the American people. Sure. So that they can be as informed as possible. Yeah, that's what's going on here. The Russian embassy did not respond to emails seeking comment. And, you know, that's that. I mean, I got to tell you, this is what passes for journalism. This is anonymous intelligence officials, honestly, saying, Well, the Russians, and they support Trump. We've been hearing this for years and years. They didn't attack Ukraine when Trump was president. They did attack Ukraine when Obama was president, and then they attacked Ukraine on a larger scale once Biden and Kamala were in the White House. So the Washington Post, amazing, referring in part to Iran's actions against Trump. His campaign senior advisor, Brian Hughes, said, America's adversaries around the world all want 4 more years of weak Kamala Harris. Iran has plotted to assassinate President Trump. They arrested a Pakistani man in New York recently that was sent by Iran to get Trump assassinated, hacked his campaign, and sent our documents to Democrats. And Vladimir Putin endorsed Harris for president. He did more than once, actually. The intelligence officials drew special attention to a period between November 5th and the January 20th inauguration of the next president, noting that several countries stoked division in 2020 and were likely to again capitalize on objections to the vote counting, congressional ratification, and other steps in the process. Russia, Iran, and China are better prepared to exploit opportunities in the post-election day period, in part because of the lessons drawn from the 2020 election cycle, the senior official said anonymously. We're being manipulated by our corrupt government in all kinds of terrible ways, I've got to say. And it's, poor Tim is innocent, and the Russians are targeting him with videos. And they're trying to support Trump. And there may be violence afterward because really only if Trump wins, then there's guaranteed violence. And then they say, well, it's not us, it's not the Democrat Party, it's the Russians. And honestly, we're lied to so frequently that it's just appalling. All right, let's grab a phone call. Let's go to Connor, calling from Alabama, listening on the WMAL app on Al Gore's amazing internet. Connor, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. This is the caller previously referred to as James, the Prince cultural reference there. Reserving the right to be wrong because, unlike you, I frequently am. I enjoy. I'm glad I'm hearing the pushing the down ballots, but I think it goes past the state legislatures. If it were up to me, I wouldn't have a Democrat dog catcher. I think you have to keep them off city councils, out of city judgeships, because that's where they get their foothold. Democrats play the long game, and Republicans have to be willing to fight the long game, play it with them, even in the off-cycle elections, because a lot of damage happens at the very local level.
That's a fact. That is a fact, Jack, and you're 100% right. And I saw on the big board here after you talked to Jeff, wanted to talk about making sure people vote down ballot, don't just vote for Trump and then walk out satisfied that you've done your duty. Vote down ballot because you're right, the Democrats play the long game just like the jihadis and the communists out of the Soviet Union and communist China. The left is here, and they're planning on destroying the world if it takes them generations to do it. Then it will take them generations to do it. Since the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, they've been playing the long game against us. And the Democrats now represent the Bolsheviks inside of our own political machine. And we've got the permanent bureaucracy in the intelligence community like John Brennan, the Communist Party voter who's made CIA director by Barack Obama, and on. But you're 100% right, Connor. We've got to vote all the way down ballot, down to dog catcher, down to your city council, down to the school board, literally to the school board. And we need the good guys in charge because the crazy people playing the long game, as you said, have been taking over for far too long. And we have to take it back. Our side has to take our country back. These anti-American, anti-Western, anti-capitalist, anti-education, anti-boy, anti-girl lunatic Democrats must be stopped. Connor, thank you very much for the call. I think you know that an unforgettable meal brings people together, and nothing makes a meal unforgettable like the unrivaled quality and delicious taste of Omaha Steaks. You can taste the difference and save 50% off the entire website during Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale. Couldn't be more delicious. Plus, you get an extra $30 off because you hang out with me. You use the code PLANT, P-L-A-N-T-E. They're legendary steaks at Omaha Steaks, selected from the finest grain-finished beef for superior marbling, and then hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Then each and every steak is flash frozen at the moment of carving to retain the rich, juicy flavor. Right now, you get to save 50% off the entire website, mouth-watering steaks and more during the semi-annual Omaha Steaks sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you listen to this great radio show, you get another $30 off with the code PLANT, P-L-A-N-T-E. That's 50% off. That's the saving, plus $30 off at OMAHA, omahasteaks.com, with the code PLANT. Minimum purchase may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for all the delicious details. Yes, sir. Yeah, vote. Vote. And vote down ballot. Vote for everybody. Vote for Hung Cow in Virginia. What a great American story is Hung Cow. And the racist Democrats are looking to defeat him. Stop the party of the KKK. Vote Republican. So there's apparently a fake video of posted online. Somebody who identifies as Matthew Metro. Metro, like you're a subway system. And we pulled the video of Matthew Metro. He's a black guy. He did go to school where Tim Walz was teaching. He lives in Hawaii now.
In my senior year, I had a lot of problems piled up. My parents were going through a terrible divorce. And you know how it happens. Sometimes all you need is someone to talk to. Well, in my case, it was my teacher, Tim Walz.
Now, the Washington Post says in one video, a man identifying himself as Matthew Metro claims to have been a student of Walz a decade ago.